Welcome. Here we are today at Faces Forbes Luxury Summit in Dolder. And today my guest is Peter Nitz. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Peter, can you introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. My name is Peter Nitz, and I have a luxury leather goods brand here in Zurich.
So you're specialized in bags and leather items?
Leather bags and accessories.
Mm-hmm. And how did you start?
Purely by coincidence. I was in the luxury business buying and selling pre-owned luxury goods. And so I was back and forth to Paris a lot. And one time when I was in Paris, I ran into a craftsman who worked at one of the big major brands there that makes leather goods. And I said, that would be really cool. I love making stuff to learn how to make leather bags. And she said, if you want, I'll show you sometime like the basics of how to make leather goods. And one summer she did during her holiday, came and showed me a bit of how you saddle stitch and finish the edges. And I was completely hooked. And immediately there, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So that moment was like a changing point in my life.
So you actually started from the bottom, doing everything yourself?
Completely from the beginning. But I was completely obsessed with it. And 1 year later, I launched my first collection. French Vogue did a big reportage about me. I was selling Colette in Paris. It went super, super fast. It was like it was my destiny.
Hmm. How important were relationships in that time? I mean, not everybody starts building a brand and goes through the roof.
Well, I wouldn't say the brand went through the roof. I had a big launch. It went just coincidentally because I met the right people. It just happened that it took off really fast. And then came the many, many years of just hard work and slowly building the brand. So I've been doing it for 16 years now. And I would say it's just maybe the last 5 or 6 years where we're really getting some serious momentum.
And during this almost 20 years, and that you do it, did you see a shift as well of the whole luxury business?
I think there's been lots of shifts in there. A big one I see, which is beneficial to me, is that a lot of people are moving away from focusing on just the big brands, and they're looking for more niche brands that are doing more specialized things. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the average person didn't really know about Hermes or wasn't buying Louis Vuitton, things like that. Now it's kind of ubiquitous. It's kind of like everyone is buying luxury now. And a lot of people are looking for something beyond the big brands. And so that's where smaller niche brands like myself come into play.
And how important is silent in luxury for you? This is like one of the trends that you see that is growing and growing.
From the beginning, my brand was always about quality because that's what I'm obsessed with. I want to do things in the most authentic way, and we do everything completely by hand. So we have no sewing machines. Everything is literally saddle stitched. So for me, quiet luxury was a natural way to do it because it wasn't about logos or branding. It was all about the product itself. And
can you maybe give me an insight? How does you craft all your bags and all the things, all the goods?
You mean the process of how to make a bag?
Yeah, I mean, how can we imagine what's going on in your atelier?
It's probably like you would imagine. We take a roll of leather, we cut the panels of the leather, we prepare the threads, we, basically stitch everything by hand. There's lots of different steps, obviously, along the way, different reinforcements, different skiving and splitting out the edges to construct it in different ways. It's a slow process. There's no way to speed it up the way we do it. So an average bag takes us usually between 5 and 7 days to make one handbag.
So no machine help?
No, all by hand.
Why is this so important to you?
For me, I've always been obsessed with quality. For me, that's what luxury is. And I was always obsessed with this idea of having just the very best, that there was no way to make it better. And that's why I didn't want to use machines or ways that I felt were like cheating. Not that a machine-made bag can't be very well done. You can also work extremely well with machines, but just for my philosophy, I wanted to do it the old school, traditional craftsman way of making bags. So that's why I decided to stick with that method.
But this also says that you are a niche product, so the materials and everything costs. Obviously, it's not available for everybody. Was that also a strategy for you?
I don't know if it was a specific strategy for me. I think it's worked well in my favor because we see that with the luxury market right now, there is this direction of moving towards really, really exclusive things because, like I said, everyone can have the big brands now. It's not so exclusive. So there is a market for things that are truly exclusive and limited. You know, there's 4 craftsmen working with Peter Nitz. We can't produce hundreds or even thousands of bags. So it really is exclusive and limited. And each bag is made for the client. We don't pre-produce. We make it as the client orders it.
And you're also incredibly successful in the Middle East. Why do you think is this? What is the reason for it?
I think for exactly that reason is they can have everything. Generally, money isn't such an option or isn't such an obstacle there. And when you can have everything, then that's available. You want the stuff that's not available, or that's maybe more unique or more curated, harder to find, that kind of thing.
And how do your customers respond to this? That you do all the handcrafts yourself, your small factory, it's in Zurich. So what are the maybe your feedbacks that you get?
Customers love it because it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't go to Hermes and just say, hey, I want to go see how my bag's being made. Actually, I would like to use that leather. And hey, I had an idea. Maybe we could do this. And at Peter Nitz, you can do that. So I have clients that come, they have all kinds of crazy ideas, or they've never been able to find a bag that's exactly what they wanted. And they can literally come to the atelier. I can explain to them all about the leathers and the materials, what's possible, what's not possible, and give them kind of an education about the product that they're ordering or buying that you don't normally get with the big luxury brands. So it's a different kind of luxury experience for the client. It's not just about the product alone, but it's also involving them in the process of creating that. So they have like another view. When they have the bag, of course, they enjoy the bag as well, but they also see the other side of how that bag was created.
As well, you give webinars, so you're not only having this gift for yourself, like to how to tailor everything, but you also teach it. Why
yes,
this?
I've stopped doing that just because I don't have time to do that anymore. But for many years, I gave in-person classes and also film tutorials online that people can subscribe to. Just because I knew from myself when I was first learning how to do this is almost like pre-Instagram times, pre-social media times, and all the information on how to make a high-end luxury level bag. The information was not out there. I had to like go to Paris and try and track down small ateliers and figure out find nice people that would give me explanations on how to do it. So I know the frustration of wanting to be able to do that and not having access to the information. So when people started coming to me asking, hey, because on Instagram I was one of the first leather crafters on Instagram showing these kind of things behind the scenes. So people started asking me to do that, and I thought it was a great way to pass on the knowledge, and I understood how much people desperately wanted and how exciting it was for them to be able to have someone that could share that knowledge.
So it's a big passion of you as well that you kind of wanted to have for other people as well.
Yeah, because I know exactly how they feel. There's nothing more frustrating than you desperately want to do something or understand something and the information isn't out there. So it was a big mission of mine to make it all available. And I show there's no secrets. I show everything that I do in my own work. I show in the tutorials or in the classes I teach. Also, our atelier is on the street level. It's all windows in the front, so people can walk by, stand there, and see us making the bags. It's all transparent and open, and I love that about it because people are really. I'm obviously passionate about it, and it's fun to see other people really excited to see what you're excited about.
Now that we're talking so much about it, now you probably need to restart doing this because a lot of spectators probably gonna be like, "Oh no, is the webinar available still?"
Well, I still have the tutorials online, so
okay, at least
those we still have access to. Yeah.
And what also you said, transparency is a very important topic for you. We see that this is also a trend where people really want to see the traceability of the products and everything. How do you implement this in your handmade crafts?
This is kind of easy for me because we do a lot with exotic skins. And there's already the whole process of traceability in exotic skins with the whole CITES convention, which is something that governs the trade of animal parts or protected species. So every skin that I'm using that's alligator or crocodile or lizard, that has CITES documents with it, so we can trace everything back to the very beginning. So that way it's very easy for us to be transparent for where all of our materials come from.
And do you feel like you have this responsibility as well, and that people see that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm a big fan of animals, and I don't like mistreatment of animals or anything like that. So for me, it's of course very important that people know that what we're doing, not only is it transparent, but it's also beneficial, because there's lots of misconceptions, like about alligator skins out there, that maybe it's cruel or mean or whatever, but it's actually one of the most sustainable things you can do is use alligator leather, because if you understand where they come from and how they're raised, and the whole, they live in wetlands in Louisiana, which has a whole diverse biosphere and everything, that if that industry didn't exist, all these wetlands would be cleared out and you would lose thousands of different special species that only live there. And so it really is very sustainable and good for the environment to keep this alligator industry growing. They were actually almost extinct back in the 60s and 70s, and that's when the CITES convention came about. And since then, through the conservation efforts, alligators have gone from nearly extinct to being completely overpopulated now, and there's even hunting seasons for them. So you see scientifically that these programs work not just for the alligators, but also for keeping the wetlands in the area and all the different species that rely on this whole diverse atmosphere there.
So sustainability is a big, important topic for you.
It's a huge, I could talk for an hour about it. There's a huge amount of information that goes along with all the kind of materials. I often say to people that maybe are worried about it, I say, yeah, actually you're going to have less problems ethically with the alligator skin than probably you would have with cow skin, because some of these animals, how chickens are raised and things are far worse conditions and far less regulated than something like exotic skins.
Do you feel like your goods, probably gonna last for generations because it's not like fast fashion, or it don't bring along this kind of problems with plastic and everything? Do you feel like it's also something that your clients see as an opportunity to invest? Absolutely,
yeah. No, because it's really something that, because also they see how it's made, they understand the effort that goes into it, the quality of it, so naturally it lasts longer. They value it more, they care for it more, and it's going to last much, much, much longer. It's also made from, even the thread I use, I don't use plastic threads or polyester threads. I use 100% natural linen threads. So everything that we use is like biodegradable and basically from good sustainable materials. So nothing that's toxic or bad for the environment.
What trend is the most interesting for you right now in the luxury industry?
Which trend?
but maybe which is like the way that you think like it's gonna have an impact as well on your business? Is it also digitalization, or because you mentioned earlier you were one of the first or the first one to actually show around on Instagram and have a look behind the scenes?
I think a big trend is a little bit what I said before, and that's people are moving. There is a certain percentage of people that are moving away from the big brands, and they're more interested in finding niche brands that have a true, authentic story. And they also want to understand what's behind the brand. And I think that's what maybe big brands didn't have to deal with before, because a lot of it's marketing and smoke and mirrors, and this is how we present it. And now with social media and everything becoming so transparent, there's nowhere to hide. So you really need to have a truly authentic story, truly authentic product. And I see that the client is becoming much more interested in knowing these kinds of things. So, of course, that's a great trend for me, because of what I'm doing is very authentic and I'm very open about it. And I like to educate and show people, because then they get a better appreciation for the product. So I think that's definitely one of the big trends in luxury and high-end luxury that is working towards my benefit.
Maybe my last question, since we're here at the Luxury Summit, what does luxury mean for you personally? In
regards to my business?
In general. I mean, what kind of luxury do you value as well? Is it physical? Is it something else?
I would say physically, for me, it's quality above all. I really love just the best quality of anything. For me, is so great to enjoy the materials, how it looks, how it feels, how it smells. Those are, for me, in terms of physical terms, what luxury is. In other terms, time is the biggest luxury, because we're running out of time, and you've only got one life, and that's it. So I think time and health are the biggest true luxuries. If the time we have and good health, everything else comes after that. So.
Thank you very much for this insight, Peter Nitz.